guys, welcome to Across the Tabletop. I'm Matt, aka the Sentinel. I know I've been missing for a month on the channel, but I've been busy, and I'll show you what I've been doing in a little while. So an update on the list and an update on what's been going on. So I went to a couple of tournaments in July. And the 6 weeks holiday slowed us down a little bit with the kids being off school, so it was a little bit more difficult. But I've been on a project that I'll show you shortly. So to the tournaments, I went to a tournament down in Bournemouth, which was in England, which was really good. I won 1 out of 3 there. You know, not the expectations I had. I think I've covered the Bournemouth one, so I took away from that and in a previous video. And then I went to a little RTT up in Coventry a couple of weeks after that, at the end of July, and won 1 out of 3 there. Lost against the Grey Knights in the first game. He just outplayed me on the primary, so great job there. With a similar list, I had the 1 Contemptor, 1 Leviathan, 1 Gladiator, and really enjoyed that, but missed the opportunity to take the 2 Contemptors or 3. The Leviathan and Gladiator were amazing in that tournament, so that's why they stuck around in my list for the London GT. Really enjoyed playing them again. And the Gladiator's just number of shots is just so impressive. It even cuts down Marines at a rapid rate of fire. So it stayed in the list. It's toughness 8, 12 wounds, 3 up armor save. I've taken the upgrade, so it's the Gladiator Reaper. You know, it's 210 points. It has the twin heavy onslaught Gatling, plus the Tempest bolters, and I gave it the upgrade to take the smoke launchers for the -1 to shoot at, which is, in my opinion, the one of the best upgrades you can give to the Gladiator. But yeah, it's a movement 10, 12 wounds, 24 with the twin heavy onslaught Gatling, which is just such amount of shots, and next to the Techmarine hitting on 2s is pivotal for the efficiency of the army, and I've seen it do a lot of damage. Now with the Tempest bolters, they are bolters, so we benefit from that from our doctrines, exploding bolters. So I can't complain about that, pumping out rapid 4, so it's 8 shots at 30. And then at 15 inches, it's doing 16 shots, exploding 6s on hitting on 2s with the Techmarine's buff. And I've seen it clear hordes. I've seen it clear Marines. So I was really impressed with the way of fire and its ability to actually stand on its own. So that's why it stayed in the army. So fantastic little piece of kit. I would recommend it for an Imperial Fist army. If you haven't got one already, get yourself a Gladiator Reaper. So we'll go over the list. This is the list that I've submitted to the London GT this weekend coming up. So heading down on Saturday. Yeah, before going to the list, the other things I've been doing. So the one up in Coventry, I did pretty well. I played a Drukhari army, I played a Grey Knights army, and I played a Space Wars army. I lost to the Drukhari due to outmaneuverability, but it was very even on kills and secondaries. It was just the primaries again. You know, the list that I was taking at the time didn't account. I was taking the Eye of Hypnoth on the Techmarine, and once I'd lost an objective to some witches, I only had the Techmarine and a suppressor unit left on that objective, and he had 2 witches. So it was just one of those. So I've dropped the Eye of Hypnoth, and I've taken the additional relic dropped the Eye of Hypnoth and the exploding the 6s do additional wounds for the Techmarine's Warlord trait, and I've taken the Galathmore relic for the Techmarine. Essentially, it's an aura of 18 inches, and it's a -1 to psychic tests. And if you fail a psychic test, then you will take D3 mortal wounds on a 4. Now, I've taken this relic on the Techmarine just purely because with the Grey Knights and the Thousand Sons and other shenanigans from other armies, having that -1 to their psychic tests, and if they do fail doing D3 mortal wounds, is the only anti-psyker I have in the army. So I thought that was pivotal with what's coming up and what's prevalent within the meta at the moment. I've seen a couple of Grey Knight armies win tournaments and Thousand Sons, and even if they think about a Tyranid army, you know, you can start to impact the game quite dramatically. So, and then the Warlord trait I took on him was Rites of War, and this ability is an aura of 6 inches, and it gives core or characters the OBSEC, Objective Secure keyword. And this would have made a difference against the Drukhari player I played against in the Coventry RTT. It would have kept me in the game, and we probably would have been a 1 or 2 point swing towards the end. So, you know, that's why he's there. And I've seen him work in a RTT, a GT that I went to in Pompey Brawl, Pompey Pirates Brawl. Incredible tournament, and definitely recommend going again next year. And anybody out there, look out for the Pompey Pirates for next year. So that was a really great tournament for myself, the Pompey one. It was a very similar list to what you're seeing here, and I did really well. Won my first 3 games on the first day. I was thrilled with the results. I played a guy that I was at the Bournemouth GT. In my first game, he was bringing Custodes with his Telemon, and you know, I think looking at what he had, I think he only had 2 or 3 units that were from the book. The rest of it was from Forge World. So it was a really tough meta list, and I was able just to score high in the first turn. I made a 12-inch charge onto his Terminators. They brought down in turn 2, which stopped him from being able to split them up in the later phases, and then just have these individual really tough units to deal with. And that was, yeah, that changed the game. If I hadn't made that 12-inch charge, I probably would have lost by a point or 2. But in that matter of fact, it kept me in the game, and I swung the game to my favour, which was, you know, all that I can ask for with the army that I'm playing with, is to make those swings when it's needed. So I then went up against a Drukhari army after winning my first game, and tabled him by turn 3. Again, the Gladiator in that list is what was the key. I put him out in front. He kept charging it. Because it's toughness 8, he wasn't able to take it down, and then the unit that was charged into it was just blown away by the overwhelming firepower from the Gladiator. I did take first turn in that game. Was able to clear 2 of the 3 of the Raiders, a Venom, Hellions that he'd put down, and just nuked all of his mobility pretty much from one flank, and then the other flank was covered by the Leviathan and some assault intercessors. So with the firepower that I had left on the table, I was able just to clear up the board very, very quickly. So I dominated that one and won that game. I think I scored like 90 odd points in that one, so I was very impressed with that. I then went on to play in my third game a Space Wolves army. I believe, no, sorry, wrong. It was Iron Warriors. Now this list was really interesting. It had the 3. It had a Lord of Skulls, 2 of those spiders. It had 3 dreadnoughts essentially with sorry, it was doing mortal wounds. The dreadnoughts to do mortal wounds. I don't think they're called dreadnoughts. They're the forge creatures essentially, and two defilers, and a few cultists. I went second. My army was pretty much hidden, so there wasn't very much to be done. I had heavy Eradicators hidden, and was able to move them up turn 1 with the Chapter Master rerolls on them, and was able to take the Lord of Skulls out with just the heavy Eradicators in turn 1. I think I did something like 36 wounds in the end to the Lord of Skulls. Everything hit, everything wounded, with the +1 to tank hunters. And the rerolls that I had from the Chapter Master, and I did pop off Wisdom of Ancients to give them the reroll 1s from a Contemptor nearby, and they really functioned really well in that game. and taking that Lord of Skulls down really put my opponent back on the back foot, and he kept the dreadnoughts that could do mortal wounds back too far and wasn't aggressive enough with them, and that kept me that allowed me to be able to dominate the back of my board and able to control the flow of the points being scored on primary. Yeah, I was able to sniper off. I say sniper, I was able to get an angle on the cultists that were holding a back objective, take them off, and didn't score any primary in turn 1 for my opponent. One of the defilers went down. Lord of Discordant, that was it. 2 Lord of Discordants were on the table, and again, after I took the Lord of Skulls down, that they played very conservative with them, which benefited me. That means, because I, as you can tell in the army, it's not a very heavy combat army, so anytime I take anything into combat, they generally struggle. So I took that win on the first day, third game. So I was 3-0. I was really pleased with how the army functioned and the potential that it had for the future. So day 2, fourth game against Drukhari, I went into it really expecting this was one of the top tier lists that I'd seen in that sort of tournament at the time. It done really well at the time, and I took secondaries that I believed I could achieve. I took behind enemy lines, I took Rod, and I took Bring It Down possibly. And the one that let me down was, I say, behind enemy lines. I just wasn't, he screened really well. He held back his raiders as long as he could. I was able to do real damage to him in turn 1 with a couple of units that he'd left out. And at the beginning of turn 2, I could see the way the game was already going due to the fact he didn't move anything. So he was waiting until turn 3 or 5. He had last turn. I went first and he had last turn. So he was planning on getting the 15 on primary on the last turn, which would swing the game to his favour. And I had the opportunity at that point in turn 3 with my Leviathan to take out an Incubi, one of their crazy witch girls or whatever it was, and I priority target that was my intention, and then didn't fire at her with the Leviathan. And that due to that fact that my mistake of, what would you say, it would be misplacement of resources on my side and overcommitting to another unit. I just got over carried away. I wasn't methodical enough with my choices. So I didn't fire at the girl, I fired at something else, and this Incubi silly witch thing, whatever you want to call it, came along and engaged me on one of my objectives, killed my 5 intercessors, then moved on from there, engaged another unit, held them up. This put 5 points less on me on primary, giving my opponent 10 points, because I was 10 points on primary, so I was down 5 points at this point, and knowing that they were going to score 15 at the last, it meant it was a 20-point swing in the game. If I kill her, I still get I get 5 points on primary, and now they can't score 15, they can only score 10, which makes it a 10-point swing in their favor, with some work to be done on my side. But killing her eliminates a threat on my side, allowing me to push up further and actually be able to threaten his back objective in turn top of my turn 5. Not saying I still would have won, but it means that the game is a lot closer, and there's a few more decisions that would have to be made by the Drukhari player, instead of just holding back until they had the opportunity to jump on 3 objectives and take the game. So it was a little bit of disappointment from my half, knowing by turn 5 it was my fault that I'd made the mistake and lost the game. But that's the way the games go sometimes. And then, of course, I went up against a Death Guard army on round 5 and put my attack bikes that I was running at the time in the list in reserve to get around the back to his Plague Burst Crawlers, and completely forgot that I had them in reserve. So they came on in turn 3. If they came on turn 2, I take off one of the Venom Crawlers and control an objective, take for 15 on primary instead of 5 because I'd lost it to the Venom Crawler. And I know my melter, my 3 attack bike melters would have killed that Venom Crawler quite easily, and allowing my Eliminators then to move up to his objective where a Playbus Crawler was on, and just hold the objective while the Playbus Crawler couldn't do much because I overwhelmed him in numbers. Which means that he has to come back with his another unit or kill him off, which he could have killed him off, but it means he's shooting at that instead of the Venom Crawler killing my Eliminators in combat. So swings and roundabouts. Again, it was my mistake in forgetting I had the attack bikes in reserve. They came on in turn 3. They did the job. They killed the Venom Crawler. They held the objective. I gained 5 points in my turn, and then the Venom Crawlers just killed them off. Not the Venom, the Blighthawk Crawlers, the mortar tanks. So again, it was really interesting. I loved the tournament. I could see potentially I had a chance to win that one. I had a potential to go to the top table due to the fact that I lost my round 4 game, but I learned a lot taken away from it. The Gladiator was amazing from the tournament. The Leviathan is definitely back in the list. Just consistency doing that AP 1-2 damage throughout the battle rounds. Excuse me. So it was a pivotal list architect. So fantastic tournament. I went on then, and over the summer with the kids being at home, I started a project. And after I've shown you what I'm taking to the GT, we'll go through that. So not many changes. The attack bikes are gone. That brings the Gladiator and the Leviathan into the army. The other Eliminator unit that I had, I was running 2 Eliminator units. I'm just running the 1 now, has been dropped, and I've dropped another Intercessor unit to squeeze in 2 Relic Contemptors and Leviathan and the Gladiator. So we start off with my Chapter Master, upgraded to B Chapter Master. He's 145 points. He's got all the same relics, Hand of Dorn for the Warlord trait, additional Warlord trait using the Sentinels of Terra stratagem, and I gave him Chapter Master Warlord trait, so generating an extra CP on a 4. So this is really efficient with the army that I'm using. And then his relic is the Relic Sword, the Relic Storm Shield, and he's also got the Chapter Master relic for the additional 2-up armor save, extra wound, toughness 5. Really tough unit, really tough to deal with. I played him against a Drukhari army a few weeks ago at my local club, stuck him in a piece of terrain. He stayed there until he was charged, essentially. So by Drazar, by the way, Drazar charged him and killed him. So I was quite pleased with the way he performed. I then have the Techmarine, and I've gone over what he's got as Warlord trait. So he's got the additional relic of Galamorph, or Galathmorph, which gives him the ability to deny psychic test, essentially. And then his Warlord trait is the Rights of War obsec units. So it just gives me that flexibility to leave to take my troops from the back lines and put them in the middle or up in the enemy's front lines, and still hold an objective at the back with objective secure. Then the Ancient, he's still got my Stagnama relic. So he's on a 4-up if a unit, if a model dies within 6 inches, a unit from a unit within 6, on a 4-up that model gets to fire or shoot back or fight back. And then of course his relic is the additional additional 1 to the attack roll. So basically all my units are hitting on 2s in combat, which is really impressive. The other night I played Tyranid army. Tyranid charged a unit with his Gene Stealers, and then killed that unit, was just a couple of inches away from my Intercessors. My Intercessors moved up, shot another unit off an objective, charged back into the Gene Stealers of 15 at this point, and killed 14 Gene Stealers with the hitting on 2s. I used the stratagem to do instant wounds on 6s, and they had the Chapter Master reroll, so I just rerolled everything. Got something like 10 6s on the hits, and then another 10 hitting on 2s with the rest of the attacks, and then just wounded 20 wounds or something like that in overall. And he made a few of his 4-up in dodges, whatever they have. So, killing 14 Gene Stealers just in combat with these guys, just with bog standard Intercessors, I thought was the way to go with these. So they're doing the job essentially. So really impressed with that so far with them. And of course, just having the assault bolters giving that flexibility to move and shoot, advance and shoot, and still be effective with the chapter master rerolls and all the good things. They're amazing. That's my 10-man intercessor unit. I then have 2-5 close combat intercessor units. The assault intercessors, they just are the wingmen of the unit, the flanks essentially, and pushing up. If I need to put them in reserve, I can, and they can do the rod. Techmarine's got a couple of guys around him, as you can see. They're my servitors. The servitors, of course, are just 30 points to do the rod or engage in all fronts. They're my secondaries, point scorers, essentially, for getting around the board if I need to, stick them in reserve and have them come down and do a rod. They're really hard to screen out. I played the Sisters Army a few weeks ago, up at 40 hours for 40k, hosted by Mark and Andy. Amazing tournament, amazing 40 hours, 40k for a great cause for calm men's mental health. I was up there with Darren from Twisted Dice, just helping out with the commentary on the videos and the things like that. So I had an opportunity while I was in my spare time, not helping out with the live stream, to play a Sisters Army, and the servitors actually came down in that game and scored me, I think it was something like 6 to 8 points. So 6 to 8 points for 30 points. 6 to 8 victory points out of 30-point model is exceptional for its return. So a mainstream in the army is those servitors. I then just have behind them my 3 eliminators. Now I've given them 2 las fusils and then the bolt carbine for the extra mobility. Just being able to get behind enemy lines if I need to, or engage on all fronts for deployment zones and things like that. They are incredible. Played an Ultramarines list a few days ago, and I made a few mistakes in that list, that game with these eliminators, but I do believe that the eliminators are incredible for setting up on one side of the board and being able to hit the middle or hit the enemy's lines and do the job. So just behind them are my 3 heavy Eradicators with the heavy melter rifles. Incredible unit. Really do the work all the time, punching higher than they should be. It is just purely finding a position on the board for them to work the best at, though, and that can be the most difficult bit, is deployment for them. Once you've got them in the right deployment, they are really tough to deal with, and they can really dish out the damage. On the flanks, I have a unit of 3 suppressors, and then on the other side another 3 suppressors. Do what they say on the tin. Deep strike, 9 shots, -1, 2 damage. And if I can put them out in a piece of terrain with the banner next to them on turn 1 to have the threat of being shot at, they do take the shot, they do die, and then they return fire. That's generally what they're really good at for. It's just to draw the fire in. And if they don't die in turn 1, they're able to push up into the middle and either take Oath of Moments for us, take the central objective, or sit back and kill a vehicle, which they do really efficiently. So just behind them, you'll see I've got a Leviathan. He's equipped with heavy flamers and two heavy flamers, 2 assault cannons essentially, and the 3 hunter killer missiles. Now you would say, why am I not running another Contemptor with the Volkite? Well, what I found with the Volkite, especially against the Death Guard army that I went to a tournament with at Twisted Dice, incredible. Get out there, find out the Twisted Dice tournaments. They've just moved venue, and I think it looks amazing. And the setups are great down there. Darren over at Twisted Dice is doing an amazing job with Ace Face as well, and their backstage hands as well are doing an incredible job. So the third Contemptor I had, with the Super Doctrine and the Doctrines at AP1 in turn 1, they're incredible, but most armies will avoid being shot at in turn 1. So the Leviathan brings in that strength 7, so it takes light armor down really easily. Still doing the 2 damage, but it has the AP1 throughout the whole game. So turn 1 is devastating, and in turn 2 and 3 and 4 you can still do the damage output that you required from him. And he's consistent. 14 wounds, you know, T7, 2 up save, 5 up invuln. He has the smoke launch keyword, so you can be -1 to be hit. Yeah, with the Techmarine standing by, you can heal him back. You make him hit on 2s. Yes, he doesn't have the core keyword, so he doesn't benefit from the Rites of War or chapter masters and things like that, but he can still be given Wisdom of the Ancient to affect those around him, you know, if he needs to. He's just an all-round beast in the army and holds himself really well in the games I've played. And then my 2 Contemptors in the middle there, again, these are just incredible. The amount of firepower they put down, the amount of deadly force that they can bring, and the threat that they posed for the army. They are quite small, so they do hide behind some of the, especially the train that's being used at the London GT. They can hide pretty well behind them, pop out, point and delete at those either horde armies, small armies, being strength 6. Many units aren't toughness 6, they're infantry, that is, anyway. They are all toughness 5 or 4, so they do the damage. Losing the AP on turn 1 is a big key differential, but they ignore cover. So those units that have just their standard armor saves, you do start to see them drop quite quickly. And with the missiles as well, they generally just finish off the unit that's left with 1 or 2 models left on the table. I've seen him clear up, you know, 20 Hormagaunts in a Tyranid army, 10 Orcs in the Orcs armies, and they can clear up 5 Intercessors quite quickly as well. So that they're incredible. And then moving over, I've got my Gladiator Reaper. The other night I played against a Tyranid army and he killed 26 Hormagaunts. So yeah, 40 shots, hitting on 2s, killing on 2s with his gun. You know, killing, I think it was 24 in the end, or 25. You know, he can... he's just a beast. So yeah, recommend the Gladiator every time. So that's the army that I'm taking to London GT this weekend. So it's going to be an interesting one. The lists are now out. I've done my checks on the 2 lists that they've asked me to check on. Had a quick look to see how many other Imperial Fist armies were being taken. So we've got 5 in total, that's including myself. We are less than 1% of the armies being taken. With 191 armies going, that's 6 people for every 1% for the armies being taken, and we are 5.9. So 1% is 5.9, so we are less than 1% of the armies being taken as Imperial Fists. So the Dorn's legacy must live on, and we must do well. I'm hoping to do well. Out of that 5, to be honest, 1 is a Crimson Fist, even though he's Dorn's legacy. And I didn't check to see if any Black Templars, so I best do that. And I didn't see if there's any successors. So it could be more than 1%. There could be a couple of Black Templar players out there and a couple of successor players, but I just typed in Fists lists and 5 came up. So reach out for all the Dorns and the brother captains out there that are playing the Imperial Fists or successors. Yeah, let's show them the world that we can compete at the competitive level, and we're not the bottom choice competitively for the Space Marines choices. And it can be done. I've seen it out there. Yeah, let's prove it and show the world that the Imperial Fists are a menace to deal with. It's going to be an interesting weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait. So yeah, it'll be fun to see everybody there. Meet a few of the guys I've met throughout other tournaments. You know, we bumped into a few now, and I've said we should grab a drink at the end. So hopefully I bump into them when we do grab a drink or a meal after. So that's the army. I can't wait to play in the London GT. I've got a couple of games this week to do, practice games still. I've got another Orc army to play, another Thousand Sons army. Played them a few times now, and they are scary, but I can deal with them, in my opinion. So we'll see what I've come across. I played a couple of Grey Knights army since my last lost against them, and you know, quite comfortable now at taking them on. And it is just about getting the experience of what the armies can do, so you don't end up misplaying and being shot off or assaulted and killed, and just trying to avoid those big nasty units and know your priority targets to neuter the opponent as fast as possible. Hopefully you've enjoyed my breakdown, what I'm taking, how I've been doing. So this is the project I've been working on. I'll show you now the project I've been working on. So are you ready? Here we go. It's in the garden, and after having some comments and friends and talk, I've decided that the best thing is to invest in a studio. So I've got some space to paint, do the battle reports, have somewhere as permanent gaming station. So I built and bought a fabricated workspace, and over the last 6 weeks we've been me and a friend of mine have been putting the installation out. My dad came down and helped me build the actual shed, because if you haven't got a dad that can help you, sorry about that, but I'm not a very great handyman. So I spoke to my dad and he came and helped us. So currently we've got the installation in, the walls are up. We haven't worked out what we're going to put on the walls yet for decoration. I've got my consumer unit for the electrics to go to the house. That's going to be done in a couple of weeks. I've got the gaming table that I've been practicing on, set up with the London GT sort of layouts and tournaments and terrain. If you can see that, there you go. We've even got the little pieces of card and to try and get the angles and understanding of the terrain itself, so I can better prepare myself. Yes, I know it's not the terrain that's actually going to be used, in the sense that I know a lot of them have got line of sight blocking, but we tried to use what I can and play around with that. So the idea is this will be the gaming space here, where we'll do our recordings, and then behind me I'll put my desk and have my computer set up here with my modelling and hobby stuff. So yeah, so that's the project. That's what I've been working on. Yeah, the roof's done, the floor's done with some laminate, the installation's done. It's just looking for the look. We've got some LED lights going in there at the top, and maybe we'll have temporary lights at the moment up. Yeah, that will go soon. So yeah, hopefully you'll see more from us in the future. And maybe we'll break into some other games as well, say like Bolt Action or Age of Sigmar or things like that. So drop us a comment down below, see what you want to see. We'll get some more terrain, and hopefully I'll hopefully see some of you at London GT at the end of the week. So that's me, Matt from across the tabletop, signing off, and we'll catch you later.